Good morning, good afternoon,
Hello.
and good evening. Happy Bringling. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Happy Bringling. And we are here with our Bringle Dreamwave, another important channel today on, or I would say the topic, which is going for how to make your business investment ready. Every business, every idea turns into a business, but not every business will be able to design their unicorn. And with this design your unicorn methodology, we are looking to help businesses, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and business owners to sustain, adapt, and scale up their businesses right from an idea to a $1 billion dream. It is a profitable recurring income business model. And with that, we are coming up with a very new, interesting session today with Arjun Vaidya, who is actually an entrepreneur turned investor, and he's going to share his story of the both sides of the coin. And that is going to be very interesting. Before he joins us, I would like to introduce our partners into this entire initiative. Myril from Australia, Sharmila from India, Vadodara, and Novnish from France, Paris. So, Novnish, would like you to kind of give a little introduction about yourself and your thought process towards this Design Your Unicorn methodology and a virtual CEO cohort, leadership cohort program.
Yeah, hi guys. Basically, I'm from France, Paris, but originally I was born in India. A bit about me is to keep it short. I have more than 10 years experience in marketing and specialized specifically in content marketing and strategy. So my goal is to help brands, businesses, individuals to grow, generate leads, and form meaningful connections. And I do this by coaching and educating them about content marketing and strategy. I'm also an Amazon bestseller, a blogger, a podcaster, a speaker, and a LinkedIn micro influencer. And furthermore, I'm also invited as guest lecturers for various university for MBA students. And honestly, my role in this unit or program is about content, to strategize the content. And my view for this program is basically every single person has a pain point, right? So if you're an investor, you're facing problems right now that you're wishing to solve. And your solution might be to create a company, to go into entrepreneurship. So my idea is to focus on that pain point and to provide a solution whereby which emphasizes this pain point and solves it through this program. So whatever content you would be getting is tailor-made through helping you solve your desire to solve that problem. And honestly, this initiative we will be having soon, in the month of August, a launch, which would be which where would be we will be advertising about this system, about the different groups that this program could benefit, and the key takeaways that you can take away from this. So at the end, you will of course get a certification, and you will be able to amaze the world with the knowledge, best practices, tips, and secrets from the best coaches in the world. So you don't want to miss out on this. And that's about it from my side, actually. Over to you,
Thank
Anshul.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Navneesh. And we will definitely come back with our next session on talking about the exclusive event which Navneesh is mentioning about in August. So we are, we will talk about that in another session. So please keep following our social media pages of Bringle Academy on Design Your Unicorn on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube channel Bringle Talks. You'll get updated about various aspects and what other new things which we are coming up with. Currently, I just want to introduce a little bit about myself and Bringle, what we are aiming towards. So, my name is Anshav Jain. I'm founder of Bringle UK and India. We are currently having a presence in 140 plus countries with a viewership of 200 million plus, which is a completely pure organic reach which we have gathered in the last 5 years of our journey. We have transformed our loss-making six-digit income business, which had 20 plus centers, 20 plus franchisees, 30,000 plus students trained, and 40 plus team members, to a completely online business today with 8 to 9 digit income, recurring income business model with a self-sustainable income scenario. And right now, we are supporting more than 1 million learners. We have a mentors community of more than 50,000 who are present across 70 plus countries. So that's how our strength goes into that. We had last year when the lockdown started off, when the COVID hit it in, we actually started our major campaign called 21 Days Business Sustainability Challenge, which was attended by 5,000 plus entrepreneurs live or through in-house sessions. And there were four case studies which has emerged out of it, who have completed the entire course, and we could get those entrepreneurs businesses running. After that, we have run our cohort 2, which had mostly around, we trained more than 100 entrepreneurs around that, and we created a batch of Super 30 transformationists with whom we have transformed their ideas into a $1 billion recurring income model. And this year, we are launching this with our Australian counterpart, Myril, who is going to, of course, talk about her introduction, what she's doing. And this time, we will be taking it up across the globe. So it will be going through the Europe, Australia, Africa, USA, UK, France. So Novnish will be supporting us from the France and Europe perspective along with that. What we are looking at is we are having a vision of 2020 to 2030 to transform 1 billion lives, 1 million businesses, and 100 unicorns. We are looking to create a fund of $100 million by 2025, so that we can invest in these startups or businesses who will be going through a rigorous methodology of design your unicorn. And eventually, every person will be, certified as virtual CEO into that, and they'll be going through the 5 stages of certification onto that. Before I explain about that, I would request Myril to share something about herself and her thought process towards this methodology.
So thank you, Amshi. Good evening for those who are on this part of the world, and probably good afternoon in Europe. My name is Mireille Telekima. I'm from Australia, but born in West Africa, French speaking originally. And I've been working in the resource sector, so mining, oil and gas, energy sector, so internationally for more than 20 years now, and decided to become a full-time entrepreneur 6 years ago. So I've been going through the entrepreneur journey, and I wish I had, gone through the process that we're gonna share today, because I basically went into it with my passion, but without the processes and the tools. And I'm really happy to be able to be part of the Bringer team, where I can share what I've not done really right, but also learn and help people through the process to get the right process, the right tools, and from the beginning, so that they don't have to go through the same mistake that I've done. Yes, passion is one thing. We need the passion, but it's important to have the right mentors. It's important to have the right processes, and I think that's what this program is bringing here, especially if you are at at the beginning of your journey as a startup, or even if you've been a solo entrepreneur for quite some time. That's going to be really good to just go through this process so that you can not only go fast, but also do things the right way so that you don't have to, to go through all the blockages that people like myself has had to go through. So the program is just starting here in Australia. So I joined the team a few months ago. So trying to, to bring it on this part of in this part of the world and pushing so that, we get, the process going and empower, because it's really about empowerment here, empower all the entrepreneurs that are willing to go to the next level. And that's really where, I think the value will be brought to you. So I think that's all for me. So like I said, we are getting ready to launch, a cohort here in Australia in October, the virtual CEO cohort. But obviously, we really want you first to go through so the 5-day process that Unchef is going to talk about, and also the 20 days challenge that's actually going to help us to evaluate you and later on, get you into the program. So that's me. I'm done speaking.
Thank you so much, Myril, for explaining that. And I'm definitely going to talk about the 5 days revenue Kickstarter challenge and another follow-through session, which is follow-through program, which is going to be 21 days business sustainability challenge. This will be spread across 21 weeks, one session every week. And we'll definitely talk a little more about it. Before that, I would request Sharmila to share about her experience as an entrepreneur. In fact, she has got a very good experience in corporates, and being from the specially abled community, how she's trying to develop an inclusive ecosystem and focusing on developing an entrepreneurship for persons with disabilities. So, Sharmila, over to you, and would love to know more about you.
Thank you, Aisha. Am I audible?
Absolutely, Sharmila.
Okay. So, welcome, people. I am Sharmila here, and I am a survivor of encephalitis, and I have cerebral palsy, all of that. I'm also a well-read, well thought out person, and that credit goes to the education I had. The type of education that I received was completely inclusive and accessible, and that was 50 years back. So we have been on that path now for 4 years, Anshu and I, with Vardhan. And I'm looking to establish an entire ecosystem where people with disabilities can and will have a productive life. Be it education, be it entrepreneurship, be it a self-governing home care system. Everyone has the right to have a life of their own. And that right and the method in which one wants to live has to be provided for. So that is where I come into the picture. Accessibility, inclusion in every field, in every way. That's where I am working. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharmila. I would also want you to give a little, throw some light on accessibility and inclusion mandatory requirements from government for the businesses. And I know it's been there globally, but how it is going to turn up in India, and if you can give some more insight on
Yeah,
global requirements, would be really great.
definitely. Since I work with Government of India, I am aware that from 1st January 2023, the accessibility law as a part of the disability law kicks in. That means all buildings, all vehicles, all roads have to be accessible. Now imagine if there was a footpath without a curb cut to get onto it. Well, if you find one, the liability lies with the uh, individual city authorities. Uh, if you have a school running and you don't have uh, accessible curriculum, or you don't have inclusive education, you will be fined. If you have an office which is not accessible, you will be fined per square feet of the office space. So believe me, that's a huge change that we need to make in these past, in these coming 16 months. And I am seeing very little progress on that. So I don't know, 1st Jan 2023 will be a big boom in the country. It's going to be a yes,
Okay.
Anshu.
So what I understood is that I think it is going to be very important for all the startups or the new businesses or the existing businesses to accept or to make sure that their businesses are running with an inclusive mindset and an infrastructure. Am I right, Sharmila?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Uh,
So I
if
think
the office is accessible, that means you can employ uh, people who are using wheelchairs, people who are using walkers, and blind, deaf, everyone. So it becomes inclusive too.
great. So it's a great opportunity also for the startups and businesses because they can now employ more worthy people because being online now they are also educated. They can also get easily educated, and that education can turn into an employment, which can be more better. Also, the people who are person with disabilities they can start their own businesses and develop an inclusive infrastructure and even their teams accordingly. So I think it's going to be a very interesting thing, and we'll definitely take your help, Sharmila, in developing these accessible and inclusive businesses on startups right from start, so that they don't have to be bothered about their penalty clauses, which could be which I was talking to you, and you were mentioning it can be even up to $100,000 or maybe $200,000 as well.
Yeah, if you have a large factory, imagine the loss you will incur.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Shamila, for giving that insight. It is going to be a very, very interesting thing. I can see Firoz, Firozji joining in from Kuwait, who is our Kuwait partner. Will you be able to switch on your video, Firoz bhai?
Yes, I will do that. 1 second.
Okay, so first of all, Eid Mubarak, Firoz bhai.
Thank you. Thank you.
Firoz bhai, salam and Eid Mubarak.
Walaikum salam. Thank you. Thank you for your kind wishes.
Firoz Bhai is been there with us almost for more than 2 years now. We've been interacting and he's been supporting us in various things in India and Kuwait, of course. So I would want to know your thoughts, Firoz Bhai. I think you've been aware about Design Your Unicorn methodology, a little bit on Top 100 Mentors Club. So what do you have to say about that, and any suggestions you have for the upcoming startups into the next cohorts?
Well, let me introduce myself first. I'm Feroz Tapia. I'm almost like 30 years into the IT industry. I'm an IT and business consultant. I was the manager for Xerox Kuwait and various large enterprises and sphere of IT, and business consulting and startups is one of my key focus area. Currently, I run an organization company called Business Causeway. We do IT consulting, business consulting, and skill development solutions. And that is how I skill development is one of my key areas, because after the peak of my career, skill development is something which I'm looking at. And to reach out to more people, personal training or personal outreach is not sufficient. That's why my eyes fell on interesting platform like Bringle, and that's where I connected with visionary Anshavji. And we had a lot of plans, but unfortunately, COVID hit up, and all of our business models and business plans and forecast had to wait. And I was taken aback by the sheer guidelines of Anshavji, is that when you do the business, you have to look at the sales, the revenues, cash flow. And as he has mentioned, being just passionate is not enough. The numbers should also tie up. So that is where, his collaboration and his teachings and his visionary ideas itself, I had to put it in practice. So I said, well, this is not the best time to, launch into the new country in the midst of the pandemic. So let's keep the relationship on, and before making any further investments, because what happens is that COVID taught us that to sustain the business and stay afloat is what is really very important. So being associated with Bringle Academy, you could not preach something and not do it your own self, and you might be hurting your own business. So that is a very painful decision, but I had to take it in in concurrence with Anshav Jain Bhai. And I'm very happy about that, because what happens is that that is really helping, and I myself became one of the testimony that, yeah, you need to plan right, but action is what is most important. And to do the action, you must have the right resources. And one of the key important factor which is there is the timing. All your aspirations, all your planning and everything can fall apart if the timing in the business is not good. So I had to do that, because in my enterprise career, where there are a lot of resources, uh, when you are running a business and you're guiding startups, resources are limited, and you have to conserve the resources you have. That is what is really a changer. And now I think with uh, we are all ready all over the world, to reclaim our lost businesses and look into the era post pandemic. So I think this is one of the very good programs what Anshaf and Brinkle Academy is doing. And I'm looking forward to it, because what of the hard works, I mean, I'm seeing this design your unicorn for almost like over a year now, and now is the time where a lot of people will need it. And they need to have some ready plan, and they need to walk the plan. That's very rightly he has mentioned that execution, I mean, what Bringle and Anshavji always talks about, that execution is the key. Planning, the frameworks are important. You should be aware of that, you should practice it, and you should have the tools and the right people who can execute that. But the execution is very important, and mentors are key things. And platforms like Bringle, I think I have been critical of Bringle also at many fronts, and Mr. Anshav was very generous to take it, and some of the things he even identified. And again, he said, "See, I am ready to put this many $1 million or this many $1,000 to improvise on that, but this is not the right time. I need to wait 1 quarter, 2 quarter." And that is what he has done it gradually, so that he has contained the burnout. So these are the team of very good people, and I'm very happy with his expansion in Australia. He had been talking to me for almost like 9 to 12 months or maybe 15 months. And I think he found the right opening at the right time, and he has opened up a franchisee in Australia, and that is a step in the right direction. I congratulate both the parties, Meril and Anshavji, for this collaboration, and I think it's a long way to go. And all the partners, all the collaborators, I think we will do a lot of things together. And as he says, numbers are important, cash flow is important, framework is important, team is important, and ultimately we do business to bring positive outcomes and sustainability. And there is a limit to which a founder should invest and burn out himself. Beyond that, he should keep in mind that he is there to generate profits, to generate revenue, serve the customers, and he should be also afloat, and numbers should be positive. Initially, yes, he takes a hit, but it cannot be indefinite. So thank you so much. I'm so glad to be part of this, and I'm looking forward to the program.
Thank you so much, Firoz bhai, and really appreciate your nice words for this entire initiative. And you have actually hit it upon very key points out there, especially the cash flow which has to be there. Uh, the cash flow can be in multiple forums. I just either in the form of revenues or in the form of investments. And the good or the bad part is that it's always a chicken and egg story when it comes to investments or revenues. The investors won't invest if you don't have revenues. The revenues won't come unless you invest. So it's always a difficult situation. So entrepreneur has to keep up the pace. They have to continue running their shops. They should not be shutting down their shop just because some problems coming in like COVID, which came in. We have helped more than 5,000 businesses last year just to make sure that they remain afloat. They at least survive into those scenarios, be it from travel industry, hospitality industry, which are majorly hit. Now, if you see e-commerce industries, education industry, they are doing pretty better. But when it comes to travel and hospitality, it was completely doomed. But they have also now emerged out with new ways of doing business, and it has come up very nicely. So that's how you need to change that process, change that thought process. Once that thought process is changed, you know about your industry so much that you can rework on the entire business model, come up with the next financial model, and get some investors and get your idea validated. Uh, just want to now take up this discussion further from the perspective of what Firoz Bhai and Myril was talking about, the five-stage process of design your unicorn methodology. So five-stage process goes into from a white belt certification to a yellow belt certification to green belt to blue belt and finally the black belt. Now this is a very thought through certification modules which we have created specifically using the various frameworks like ESBI framework of Robert T. Kiyosaki to keep the financial modeling, financial planning into it. We have also understood the concepts of various levels in terms of which level of your startup or business should be there at what level, and accordingly what should be the metric systems around that, what should be the parameters, what should be the approach, what which hat to wear at what time. It is always said that wear multiple hats as an entrepreneur, but you cannot wear multiple hats at the same point in time. And that is that is a mistake every entrepreneur does. And that is where Firoz Bhai was talking about they're getting burnt out. Because they keep juggling their things into one thing to other. Sometimes they think they have to do marketing, they say okay, they have to do sales as well. Being a single solopreneur, you have no other option. but there is a way, there is a process, there is a step-by-step approach. So we have created a process called a framework called TTFO. So if you have an idea, you validate that idea with us in 5 days revenue Kickstarter challenge, where we challenge you that in 5 days, if you do not have a unique business value proposition, along with a revenue model, revenue offerings coming with you, we will refund your entire 100% money back. No questions asked further. And there is nobody till now who has asked for the refund from us. So the point what I'm trying to tell you, these programs are so structured nicely and we have put it into practice. We have helped more than 5,000 businesses by now in this value proposition model. This value proposition is going to be very, very important for you when you start off. And we use the Simon Sinek's methodology around that, which is of the golden circle. So that's where you will be able to design that methodology. If you have a clear business value proposition, you're able to come up at the end of it, then only you are eligible to go for our next level program, which is going to be 21 days business sustainability challenge. It will be a 21 weeks program. Every week there will be a session, a coaching program from our global set of mentors like Novnish, Myril, Sharmila, myself, and there are many more into it. We have got 50,000 plus mentors community at this point in time. And there are some key critical mentors from different parts of the globe who is going to talk about the business scenarios to be done from business modeling, financial modeling, sales and marketing, processes, systems, technology, finance, legal, and investments domain. All those aspects will be done. The whole idea of this program is to make you investment ready. Because as I said, you will require investments, you will require revenues to run your business, to scale up your business. The first thing which you need to do is make your business self-sustainable. That's where the first thing which we focus upon on sustenance. The second thing which we are going to focus upon is once you sustain in your business, how are you going to adapt to the current situations? Maybe there could be, or if there could be a business continuity issues like you are seeing in the COVID time. How do you handle those situations? So you should have a backup plans also available. And then finally, once your backup plans are set, your processes are set, your systems are set, you will be able to scale that up with the right automated systems, with the right experience, with the right set of processes. And I call that as 3 Ps: people, processes, and systems. People, processes, data, and technology. So that's how your 2P, data, D and T, which will be helpful for you. And that is where it is going to be growing your businesses to an entirely different level. So the first level, which is your idea validation, which is going to be for 5 days with a follow through of eventually up to 21 days of support, which will be provided to you into this a group coaching come one-on-one coaching model, which is going to be a 5 days revenue Kickstarter challenge. So those details you can get through by joining our WhatsApp group, which will be available in the chat window in this live session. If you're watching it on Facebook, if you're finding, so you check it out. If you're checking it on the LinkedIn or Instagram or YouTube, you'll find that chat over there as well. So please connect to our WhatsApp group. We will give you more information about this 5 days revenue Kickstarter challenge over there. Whoever qualifies that, they will become eligible to nominate themselves for 21 days business sustainability challenge, which is going to be virtual CEO cohort version 3, which will be starting up in first week of October, and it will be going till 31st March 2022. The first 3 months, in fact, the entire 6 months are going to be, supporting you of developing your businesses. First 3 months are going to be focused more on supporting you on developing your businesses or setting up the right processes, validating your idea, developing the right sales and marketing plans, generating revenues, and will transition you from an idea level to at least an MVP level. And that is where the transition it will happen for you. The next 3 months will be more focused towards pitching it to the investors, because by that time you will be all investment ready. You will have some revenues coming in. We will be developing a fund of $10 million right now for this cohort, and they will be all the startups or the businesses who will be going through this cohort program, they will be pitching in front of these investors who eventually will invest in these businesses, and there will be a continuous monitoring and support and handholding will be provided for the next 3 months till March end. And that's how you will, all of those 30 businesses, we are going to have a very limited seats, going to be only 30 seats, Super 30 batch again of transformationists, which will be transforming their businesses into $1 billion recurring income business model. And that's where we'll be working out with them. For more details, you can join our WhatsApp group, which will be available in the chat window. And rest, I think I would want to invite Arjun Vaidya, who is our guest speaker today, who is an investor, who is an entrepreneur turned out investor. And I would like Myril to kind of introduce Arjun Vaidya and share about his credentials. And then Arjun can share his experience. And of course, I am sure we will have a lot of questions to ask from him. Arjun, thank you so much for joining in and giving that time in from your busy schedule. Happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. I think everybody is excited to, to have this conversation with you. So before we get into all the excitement, just wanted to ask you if you can introduce yourself in a I would say brief way, but just let us know what we need to know about you, and we'll have some question after that. I think people are eager to really engage into a question and answer, a session.
So maybe I'll spend 5 minutes talking about myself and my journey, and then we can open it up to questions and take it from there. So my name is Arjun Vaidya. And Vaidya, my last name means Ayurvedic doctor. I come from a legacy of 150 years of Ayurveda or traditional Indian medicine in my family. My grandfather, great-grandfather, and generations before were all Ayurvedic doctors. The legacy of what I did as a business was actually not a business. My family had a clinic, which my great-grandfather used to run. My grandfather graduated from medical school and took on his father's practice and took on the clinic and ran that. He was a very famous Ayurvedic doctor in that he used to see about 300 to 350 patients a day in his clinic, had 12,000 patients on a monthly basis, writing them via post. Post was the e-commerce of that time, of the 80s and 90s. And he didn't really care for sales, distribution, marketing, and strategy. He wasn't a businessman. He was a doctor. And so he never really built a business around it. My father graduated from college and wanted to build a brand. At that time, brands were just being built. FMCG brands were just coming up in India. And so my father wanted to build a brand out of it. And my grandfather didn't care for business. They tried to work together for a year, and eventually my dad went his own way and started his own business. I personally grew up with asthma. I personally grew up with juvenile bronchitis. I suffered for about 14 years. I grew up with pumps, nebulizers, steroids, inhalers. I was not allowed to play cricket growing up, which was a big deal for me because because there was too much dust on the cricket field, right? And so my grandfather moved me off, and I was one of the only kids at that time who was playing golf and squash, and it wasn't a really great thing for me. So 14 years of treatment later, I was cured of asthma by my grandfather. I spent a lot of time with him growing up as well, and so for me, Ayurveda helped me get past asthma. My grandfather's treatment helped me get past it. And so Ayurveda was more than just a family legacy for me. It was something that had a big and deep impact in my life, right? So I went for my undergrad to Brown University in the US in 2009, and I studied economics and politics there. But I saw some big changes happening in the US. Right? I saw the natural and organic products revolution. I saw yoga being repackaged, right? Yoga mats, yoga gyms, yoga apparel, Lululemon, and all of this stuff happening. And I thought to myself, this is Indian. It's been repackaged, rebranded, and sort of made appealing, accessible to modern consumers and sold back to us. So we can't let the same happen with Ayurveda. So I came back to India in 2013 and started my career as an investor. Actually, I worked at a private equity fund called L Capital, the private equity arm of the Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy Group. And during my sort of time there, I saw a big change in India, right? So I grew up in India in the 90s and early 2000s, where we were obsessed with imported products, right? If it was imported, it was considered good. If it was Indian, it was considered substandard. And that changed when I moved back, right? So Indians were consuming quintessentially Indian brands. There was a change in the perception of Ayurveda as well. So the Ministry of Ayush was created, the government had changed, hundreds of thousands of consumers were interested in Ayurveda. And unfortunately, my grandfather passed, right? And so I'd made him a promise at some point in my life that I'd do something with his legacy. And so I quit my job and sort of took on the Ayurveda legacy. I created a company, named it after my grandfather, called it Dr. Vedya's, with the view that we wanted to make Ayurvedic products appealing and accessible to modern consumers. That was the idea behind sort of the company. Long story short, over 4.5 years, we built India's largest Ayurveda brand online, did 1.5 million orders on our website across 16,500 zip codes in India. We fulfilled more than 5,000 orders a day. We're top sellers on Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, NetMeds, MedLife, all of the marketplaces in India. But really the problem we solved was we took ancient Ayurveda and repackaged and rebranded to modern consumers. We launched some of the most innovative products as well. We launched an Ayurvedic hangover product called Live It Up. We launched an Ayurvedic health toffee, a Chawanprash and toffee called Chakash. We were one of the first brands to do a PCOS supplement in Ayurveda called CycloHerb. So really innovative products, engaged with customers, use the power of digital, were the first brand to use it and emerged as India's largest Ayurveda brand online. In June 2019, we got a large group called the RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate in India, to invest in the business. And given what happened with COVID and the proliferation of Ayurveda and the sort of spurt in demand for immunity products and herbal health natural products, our business grew exponentially. And in December of 2020, this large group made an offer to acquire the business. We accepted the offer and so handed over the business over a 3-year period, a 3-month period, sorry, and officially exited the business in March of 2021, March of this year. So it's been slightly more than 3 months since we exited. Since then, I've been an active angel, so invested in 16 companies in the early stage consumer brands, consumer internet, and enablers to e-commerce space. Also mentor and advise a bunch of D2C brands, work with an early stage venture debt fund as an advisor, and also teach a course on building consumer brands in India. So I think that's a little bit on my background. I think from the entrepreneurial journey, I learned a lot. I learned to accept failure. I learned about grit and resilience. I learned about building teams. But I think the one important question that we're trying to address here, right, is that, look, everyone can build a business, right? But there are certain businesses which are investment ready. And what do you need to do to be investment ready, right? So I think I'll talk about 3 main things that we did to become investment ready, and then maybe open it up to questions because I've spent my 5 minutes giving my background. I think the first thing is you got to show high growth, right? If you're building a business for yourself, you can grow it at the pace that you want to grow it. But if you're trying to build an investment ready business, you've got to make the investor excited about the growth and the returns the investor may have. That's the first thing, high growth. The second thing is be completely transparent about your business practices, about your corporate governance, because investors, even though it's your business, when an investor comes in, they want to come into a completely clean shop and a completely transparent and open shop, right? So whether you have investors or not, run a business in the most transparent way that you can. And the third thing is really build that equation and relationship with your investors, because when you're having a conversation to raise capital or raise investment from the business, the reality is it's not a transactional relationship. Once the investment goes into the business, it's a marriage for a very long time, right? And so you got to build that comfort on both sides. The investors have to be comfortable and the entrepreneur also has to be comfortable for a long-term partnership. The one thing I will say though is that a lot of people are very excited with investment and think that it's an accomplishment to raise investment. Yes, it's an accomplishment. It's an accomplishment to get someone to back your business, but investment comes with a lot of responsibility as well. So the 2 principles that we followed were, one, once you've raised capital, you got to work that much harder and that much faster, and you can't rest on your laurels. And whether it's your money or somebody else's money, treat it like your own money, because that's the only way to respect someone coming in. So I think that's my 2 bits on my background, my journey, and sort of how to make a company investment ready, but would love to open it up to questions and hear from you guys.
Fantastic. What a journey. It's I have a question, because I think, when you took over the business, there was this legacy that you wanted to to keep, you know, with your family. I mean, starting from your grandfather to yourself. So what led you to sell the business? Say, okay, now I'm an entrepreneur, but I now want to go on over the fence, which is becoming an investor. What was the thought process, and what led you to take this decision?
I think it's a really good question, and it's a question I've got a lot, right? I think, look, I'll answer it from my perspective. Selling, partnering, investing, strategic partnerships, all of these are extremely personal decisions, right? And so there could have been many people in my place who would have said, I will not sell. And many people in my place who would have said, I will sell, right? The reason we sold the business is we said that, look, for 4.5 years of effort, 4.5 years of work, we're getting fair value. I know how difficult it is to exit a business and how few and far between exits are in India. So for that reason, and for that reason alone, I think it's fair to exit. Not that we didn't enjoy the business, not that we didn't care for the business. I still use 7 of the products on a daily basis. I'm still a big fan of the company. I still follow all their social media handles, and I still chat to my team whenever they need advice, mentorship, or anything else. But I think for us, it was just seemed like fair value for the effort we had put in, and for what we had done. And so it seemed like a fair time to do it. But it's an extremely personal decision, which can be taken differently by different people in different stages.
Okay, all right. Any question in the room?
So, Novnish, I remember you have your question listed down. Would you want to start with that?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Arjun. Nice to see you. I'm actually the content strategist for the Bringle Group. So I'm helping Anshav and his team with all the content and the strategy to achieve success. So along those terms, I actually have an important question, actually. I don't know if you have the answer or not, but I wanted to ask, I mean, everyone has this passion, right? This desire that they want to accomplish something, right? So what has been your passion? I mean, what's your desire? What do you want to accomplish exactly?
Yeah, so I think it's a good question. I think, look, every entrepreneur has a purpose and a reason for being and a reason for doing things. I think my purpose was a little bit more sort of personal, in the sense that my grandfather had a deep impact in my life. And so it was personal to take his legacy forward and to take what he had done from hundreds and thousands of customers to millions of customers. And I think the other purpose was, I'm very patriotic. I wear this band with the Indian flag on my hand every day. And I believe that Indian companies should take Ayurveda to the world. And so if you see any of Dr. Vaidya's products, or you were to buy any of Dr. Vaidya's products today, you would see proudly Indian written in the front and center of every single product. And I think so the message of my grandfather and the message of taking Ayurveda as an Indian company to the world, I think those are the two things that drove me. And even when I faced multiple failures, drove me to get up and start fighting again.
Oh, that's great. Actually, most of the companies struggle with what you call this aspect of branding, because they cannot actually relate a story behind why or what they're doing. But here, I mean, you've clearly got a story behind your objective, right? So that's amazing. And honestly, your mission is great. And how do you think that you switching over or transforming will affect your mission, your passion, and how is this going to solve the problem that you faced, or that the current customers are facing, to your audience?
Yeah, so I think the business is at a mature phase right now. I think if you leave a business in an early stage and you haven't set the vision or the culture of the organization, it will be a challenge if you move away, right? But I think we have 150 team members now who all embody the culture of the company. The company has achieved some scale. So I think I'm not worried about the company doing something different from what we set out to do. And I think that we left it in good hands with good investors who believed in what we believed, which is why they partnered with us. So I think from that perspective, the company is well on its way to do something much bigger than what we left it with.
So,
Yeah, I think I
would
got
just
cut
want
off
to
there.
have an add-on
I have a
question
question.
out there, Arjun. Yeah, please go ahead, Firoz.
All right. Hi, Arjuna. Yeah, it's Arjun or Arjun. Okay, not
Arjun.
Arjuna. Yeah.
Arjun.
My question is that I'm really excited by taking your family tradition to the next level, and what your grandfather built up, your father built up, and you took it online, and fantastic, and you had the passion, and this made in India, and Ved, we can say Ved is what it's synchronic to Indian culture, and you're taking it to the global arena. My question is that while you were building this, so far I understood, but since the last 4 years, when you are building and growing and fast tracking the business, did you have this anticipation that because you graduated in US, and you anticipate that at some point there could be some merger or acquisition of your business? So did you keep building the company from that perspective?
No, I get this. I think it's a really good question, actually. And I think my simple answer is no, not at all. I didn't build the business for a merger or acquisition. And I think the best companies that get the best exit outcomes are not built for mergers or acquisitions. So you build the business for a sustainable business. And if it comes along the way, it's great, right? So a lot of founders come to me and say, hey, I also want to exit my business like you. What should I do? And for me, I think that's the last thing you should be doing, is thinking about that. Build a business for a business. If an offer comes along the way and you like it, take it. But otherwise, build it for long-term sustainability and sort of growth.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I think, Arjun, you have mentioned it as a very important point. A lot of founders actually start their company to sell it off. And that is what one of the biggest mistakes which they do, because they lose out or they miss out the entire perspective of why they're setting up the company. Everybody has a story, and that story make them to start some business opportunity, business into that. And if you're not able to add value to your customers, I think the investors are not also going to see any value in that. So it's going to be very, very important that you are as passionate about your business idea and you are running it like you are going to run it forever. Uh, Otherwise, you may just keep yourself, running towards or modifying your business practices just to get some investments into it. You may be lucky, you may be, lucky one or two times, but you will not be lucky to sustain that for very long.
I agree. I totally agree.
Thank you so much.
Super.
So, great. So I have an add-on question to what Novnish has asked about, selling, about taking it as a heritage part of it. So now your company is set. It is moving on with the direction, the principles which you have set in across. Uh, what about the next journey? What is that you want to do as a proud Indian? What do you want to do as a next venture, and where do you want to support India? And especially, I'm talking about from our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's vision of having a $5 trillion economy by 2025. So, any thoughts on that, and how would you want to take India to a global map?
Yeah, so I think, look, for both Trisha and I who built Dr. Vedya's, we're very close to the consumer brands D2C ecosystem. We really care about that. It's what made us mature. We were 24. I was 24 and a half when I started the business, and I'm 29 now. So I grew up with consumer brands and D2C and e-commerce. So our goal right now is to do what we can to sort of give back to the consumer brand ecosystem and support the next 100 brands that are insurgents and that are sort of building really high quality products and disrupting the FMCG ecosystem. So from our investing, from our mentoring, from our teaching of course, from supporting other funds, if we can give back to this ecosystem, then I think we've done a good job. That's what I believe, right? And I think consumer brands are at the base of any economy. So I think it'll be exciting to see what happens in the next decade with e-commerce and consumer.
Thank you so much, Arjun. I think anybody else has any question? Myril, Navneesh?
I do have one. So your business, in order to, I mean, you consider yourself successful, right? Or not yet?
Well, I don't really think about that, to be honest.
Wow,
Okay,
that's a short and sweet
great.
answer to your question, Navneesh.
I don't think about what's the need to think
Actually, it
about.
leads. Actually, it leads to my next question, because I knew he was going to say that. I mean, so what are the resources or organizational changes that or processes that you think would require to go towards that final fulfillment of your desire, you think? I'm not going to call it a success.
No, I think it's a very, I think, look, I think the question is good, but it's a little bit general. So I think I'll talk about the first principles that I used to follow as a founder, right? And those are three principles. The first is that failure comes every day, right? Entrepreneurship from the outside looks very glamorous, but reality is that it's a roller coaster ride, which needs a lot of grit and resilience. You've got to fight failure with grit and resilience. Like the world has fought COVID in 2020. I think that's part of an entrepreneur's daily life, right? The second one is that you can't do it alone, right? When I was a young entrepreneur, just started the business, I thought I could do everything better than anybody else. But the reality is you can only work 12 to 14 hours a day at max, right? So you got to build a team to do it with you. That was the second big learning for me from a first principle standpoint. And the last one is, what I see a lot now is young people wanting to do entrepreneurship as a side hustle, run a business as a side gig. And they keep saying that, look, I have a job, and when this business becomes, the side hustle becomes big, then I'll move full time to it, right? Reality for me is that entrepreneurship is not a side hustle. It's not a side gig. It's okay to have hobbies, and hobbies can stay hobbies. But if you want to build a highly scalable startup or a business, you got to be fully into it. I keep saying you can't be slightly pregnant with entrepreneurship. It's okay if you are not fully in, right? And you don't want to be an entrepreneur, that's also fine, because everyone's not an entrepreneur. But if you want to be in, you got to be fully in.
Absolutely.
My final question, actually, if you had the chance to go back in time, right, what would you say to your younger self that you cannot say right now? Because you've learned a lot of things, right? So there must be some things that you could have done before, or that you could have known before. So what would that be?
Yeah, so look, I'm a big proponent of the journey, right? So people ask me, what would you have changed in the journey? I would have probably not changed anything, because all of it was learning, and it made the person that I am today. But if there's one thing I could tell myself when I was 24 and a half, it would be get ready for a crazy ride, because it's going to be very different from what you expect you're getting into.
That's great. All of your answers were actually fabulous, actually.
Thank you.
I couldn't have said it better.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Arjun, for your time. And I just loved your conversation, with Navneet, and the way you explained given the answers, very crisp and very to the point, and really means a lot. And I love the idea of, your statement. I will call it as a pearls of wisdom for today. You can't get pregnant, slightly pregnant with an entrepreneur. I think that's going to take away the entire thing of the show. So, right? Because what happens, most of the people, they think that, let me just do this parallelly as well. When I'll be, I'll keep doing my job because I have a lot of responsibilities and all. But then they have to understand it's going to be a big risk. So unless you are fully prepared for it, you are 100% in fact, more than 100% into it, you cannot do that. In fact, there are so many entrepreneurs who are not as lucky as Arjun is, whose partner is there with him to support the business. They will have to actually sacrifice their family life as well. And I'm sure Arjun would have also done that to some extent. The only difference is he was probably there with his partner, while developing the business. So they have more of official time than a personal time. And but yeah, it is very, very important that you are fully prepared for where you are getting into that. And I always call that into the design your unicorn journey. This journey is going to be at least for 3 to 5 years. That's the transition period you minimum require, depending on how serious you are. If you are absolutely serious, 3 years you definitely need to transform your business, your ideas into a more sustainable or a scalable business model. You're still not a subject matter, you're still not a small or medium institution or a grown up institution. But yes, you can have a good sustenance model. But eventually you will require 5 years, 4 to 5 years to become a institution which can really be having a potential to become a unicorn. So that's the kind of, supports, the kind of efforts you need to bring in. Yes, your initial time frames required every day would be from anywhere from 18 to 16 to 20 hours per day. but eventually it will come down to 2 hours, 3 hours a day. But till that time, you'll have to literally slog. And that cannot be done by doing a part-time business. So thanks to you, Arjun, for making it very simple and sober. I think Firoz Bhai has one more question. So if Firoz Bhai, please go on.
Yeah, one last bit for Arjun, and I'm really excited. That is what you have raised, this side hustle and keeping on the job. That's one of my areas of focus, and I have a lot of bits on that. My only one question is that you have a happy exit and a transition, in 4 to 5 years, and that is something magnificent. Uh, this one. Uh, my question is that in case there is a longer period or you don't succeed, okay, because entrepreneurship is not about success always. We have to be prepared for the failure. So my question to you, Arjun, is that had you not been as successful as you anticipated, or it was there, then what is your advice to other entrepreneurs who are, it takes a bit longer or they don't see success very soon? That's number one. Number two is that uh, from one man who can do, I can do everything as the best, and he has to grow into the into a team. Everybody is compelled to go through that phase to grow. So, what would be your idea or your advice to that? My two.
Sure, I'm going to answer these quickly because I'm just running on to my next call. I think the first thing would be, look, while it seems like a fairy tale that we grew, scaled, sold, all of that, the reality is that there was a lot of difficulty and trials and tribulations along the way. Um, I think an entrepreneur has to be a realist. And while we are the most optimistic people, to ourselves, we have to be honest. If something's not working, pivot. If something's still not working, like shut shop. I think that's really important. But look, all journeys seem great in the newspapers and on online publications, on the Your Stories and LinkedIn's of the world. But the reality is, you got the real story involves much more, right? And we write to, my wife and I like to write a lot on LinkedIn about those parts of the journey as well. On letting go, it's the toughest thing a founder can do, because you always think you can do it better than anybody else. But if you can get someone to do it 7 on 10 as compared to you, and you can train them to be an 8 or 9, and you can get 10 people to do that, your organization is much more efficient than if you're doing it all yourself at 10 on 10 or 11 on 10. So that's the way I would think about it.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Thank you so much, guys. Anshul, I'm going to run for my next call.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It was really interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. You are muted,
You're on
Anshul.
mute.
Okay, Firoz Bhai, I'll just give you a little perspective of what you are talking about, the journey of an entrepreneur from a single person to a team. And how do you see success? If the success is not coming, how do you keep up the progress and the motivation level up? So I'll tell you, this is my experience. I have actually failed in 21 business ideas, 21 years plus years, and almost like 7 businesses have got doomed in last 7.5 or 8 years by now. Before I transformed an offline loss-making business to a profitable, self-sustainable business now. One of my learning, what I've seen is that every day is a new experience. And there would be times when you are having a team which is as large, like I had a team of almost 40 plus team members in 2016 or 17. And then in 2000 mid 2017, I had to literally drop back to zero and even leave my office, office space as well. I restarted my business from my daughter's room, and I had no employees. I still remember the date, 1st August 2017 is when I restarted Bringle Academy to an entirely different new level. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there will be journeys, there will be ups and downs. That's how the life and the entrepreneurship is. But the best part with that is every experience, every downfall or every upswing as well will give you a lot of experience, which you can utilize into the next set of your businesses. The unfortunate part is that 99% of the entrepreneurs are not able to conserve that experience and convert that into the right processes or the systems which they can use into their next business. And that is the reason we have crafted that entire experience along with our global mentors into this Design Your Unicorn 5-stage methodology, which basically starts from an idea validation. It is not just a coaching program, it is a complete coaching and hand-holding program. That is why we are very particular about taking people into these batches. It is all basis on selection. So then they will go. So first stage is idea validation, even before you develop your product. One of the biggest problem with the people is that they start developing their minimum valuable product. They should not even develop a product before even doing a research. So first 21 days, they should be only focusing on their idea validation, creating a unique business value proposition. Next 21 weeks, they should be only focusing on testing that idea, understanding the market, doing a little bit of a market survey, seeing to that what could be the revenue offerings. Give them some early revenue options, some offerings to them, maybe free, maybe at a very low cost, maybe at a dirt cheap cost. But you should try your idea first. That is called the validation of idea, and you develop your product a little bit, and then you slowly transition to the third stage where you develop revenues into a revenue stage into that. And yesterday's session, if you can look at on the Facebook live, you will get that link also will be posted on this chat window. You will see that I've actually explained the 5 stages in more detail and what are the sustainability aspects of every business at different stages. So you can go through that. You will get a lot of understanding that how many customers you should have at each stage: white belt, yellow belt, green belt, blue belt, and black belt, and what type of validations you would be required onto that. When you reach to the fourth stage, you are actually setting up the right processes, systems, improving the team sizes, developing the entire ecosystem around your business idea. And then finally, once you are ready with your businesses, processes, teams, then you actually start scaling up from locally to maybe regionally to nationally to globally. So it takes a time, and all that experience has been putting into a framework with a metric system, with a structured tools and methodologies, along with a set of mentors who will help you out step by step from from validating your idea till the time you will have a sustainable, adaptable, and scalable business running with you for a profitable recurring income business model. So that's the entire thought process which we are also bringing into that. So I think that this kind of a program is going to help a lot of business owners like you and others who are thinking that if there is a failure, we may not be successful. But here is this program where each and everybody can be successful. Hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Because this is not only for me, this is a common question which, all the entrepreneurs they face. And, as you very well said, that it cannot be just a statement. Handholding is very important because, there is a crazy world of consultants who tell you what to do, and then they push you into the water and you're on your own. And in the world of entrepreneurships, there are sharks around. So, just a tube to be on top is not enough. The sharks will tear you apart. So hand holding is really important. And I think that's what the program I'm looking forward to. And I think your current program is much mature than the way it had started. And it's really
so we definitely improvise with our every cohort. What we did with the second cohort, we realized we were doing it more of a coaching session and little bit of a hand holding. But what we realized is that they needed more of hand holding. So out of almost 30 people whom we have selected for our 21 days business sustainability challenge, they went on for our next business. Almost like 9 or 10 people went ahead for 21 weeks of business adaptability program. And there we realized that kind of difference of hand holding. Now they themselves are a brand of themselves. They're having a sustainable revenues. They know how to run a brand of themselves. They're doing a personal branding of their own. They don't need any support at this point in time. The business is running perfectly fine. But it took some time for us to understand But now we are trying to bring that hand-holding approach even in the 21 days of business sustainability program as well, so that they can have much more variety, they can have much more support system around that. But it's going to be a completely dedicated program. It has to be commitment has to be there from the other side as well. That is why we have put up an assessment criteria this time, eligibility criteria, which was not there earlier. So we are going to be very, very particular about who is going to enter into our program. If they are not going to complete the program, then, or not going to attend the program, there's no point of we being there and those people just sitting out there. So we are going to be very, very particular on that. Thank you so much for asking this question. And if anybody has any other questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we will just close for the day today.
All good.
Okay. So thank you so much for all of you for joining, and we wish you a very, very all the best. Every solopreneur, entrepreneur, and business owner, and even investor. So I think you should focus on reading one book. I would want to recommend one book to everybody, be it a solopreneur, entrepreneur, business owner, or an investor. And it's a must read for everybody. And it's one book which has changed my thought process towards entrepreneurship, towards financial planning or financial freedom. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert T. Kiyosaki. And I've actually been going through a lot of his audiobooks and other books as well, and following him on Facebook and other social media channels. And I would definitely recommend all of you to follow him, because he is one of those mentors and who are early stage. I would say, he's been doing this for last more than 20 years now. And he is the one who is talking about financial knowledge. He's been challenging the education system which we have been going through, in our school or college life. So we spent 20-25 years of our time in educating ourselves and then ending up doing a job. There's nothing wrong in doing a job. The problem is the corporates or the businesses are also realizing that that employee mindset is killing their businesses too. So if they are now looking to develop a startup culture, they're looking to develop an entrepreneurial mindset. And this program of Virtual CEO is not only going to give you that mindset of an entrepreneur. You can be a good intrapreneur, or you can be a good entrepreneur or a business owner, but you will have a good entrepreneurial mindset. Basis on that, you will be able to understand the various facets of running a business. Even if you are there within your own business, or you are working it for some, in some other organization, these processes, these systems, this methodology will be very, very helpful. So please make sure that you are going to join our WhatsApp groups. We'll discuss about the next 5 days revenue Kickstarter challenge over there, and then we'll take it up this journey. This is going to be a limited period offer. So please join that immediately so that we can get onto this as quickly as possible. We are planning to start this first batch of 5 days revenue Kickstarter challenge somewhere in mid-August. So you will have some time. For the other details, we will definitely discuss on that. Thank you so much again, and
Thank you.
keep bringing, keep growing. See you there in the WhatsApp group.
Thank you.
See you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well done.